What happens when Hollywood's most unpredictable legend sits down with daytime television's most controversial host? You're about to witness one of the most explosive television moments in recent memory. Before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below because this story will leave you speechless. The atmosphere in the View studio was already electric before Jack Nicholson even stepped onto the set. The legendary actor, known for his intense performances and equally intense personality, had agreed to appear on the show to promote his latest project. What nobody expected was how quickly things would spiral out of control. Joy Behar sat at the iconic table, her usual smirk playing across her face as she shuffled through her notes. She had been looking forward to this interview for weeks, seeing it as an opportunity to showcase her interviewing skills with one of cinema's greatest icons. But there was something in her demeanor that suggested she had more than just promotion on her mind. "Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the incomparable Jack Nicholson," announced Whoopi Goldberg as the audience erupted in applause. Nicholson walked onto the set with his trademark swagger, flashing that famous grin as he waved to the crowd. He was wearing a perfectly tailored black suit with his signature sunglasses perched on his head. The energy was palpable as he took his seat next to the hosts. "Jack, thank you so much for being here," said Whoopi warmly. "We're thrilled to have you." "The pleasure's all mine, ladies," Nicholson replied, his voice carrying that distinctive gravelly tone that had captivated audiences for decades. "Though I have to say, this is quite the intimidating panel you've got here." The audience laughed, and for a moment everything seemed perfectly normal. Sarah Haynes and Alyssa Farenthold smiled genuinely, clearly starstruck by the presence of such a legendary figure. But Joy's expression remained unchanged, her eyes narrowing slightly as she studied Nicholson. "So, Jack," Joy began, leaning forward with an almost predatory intensity, "let's talk about your new film. But first, I think our audience would be interested to know about some of your past comments regarding women in Hollywood." The mood in the studio shifted instantly. Nicholson's smile faded just a fraction, though he maintained his composure. "Well, Joy, I think context is everything, don't you? What specifically are you referring to?" "Oh, I think you know exactly what I'm talking about." Joy shot back, her voice taking on an aggressive edge. "Your attitude toward your female co-stars over the years has been, shall we say, questionable at best." Whoopi tried to intervene. "Joy, maybe we should focus on Jack's current project." But Joy wasn't backing down. "No, I think this is important. Here's a man who's been in Hollywood for over 50 years, and there are plenty of stories about his behavior on set. Stories that, frankly, wouldn't fly in today's climate." Nicholson's jaw tightened, but his voice remained steady. "Stories? Joy? Or gossip?" Because there's a significant difference between the two, and a responsible journalist should know that. "Are you questioning my journalistic integrity?" Joy's voice rose, causing several audience members to shift uncomfortably in their seats. "I'm questioning your motives," Nicholson replied coolly. "You invited me here supposedly to discuss my work, but it seems like you're more interested in playing prosecutor." The tension was now unmistakable. Sarah Haynes looked between the two with obvious concern, while Alyssa appeared frozen, unsure how to react to the rapidly deteriorating situation. "My motives are perfectly clear," Joy snapped. "I'm trying to hold you accountable for decades of problematic behavior. Someone has to." Nicholson leaned back in his chair, his famous intensity beginning to surface. "Problematic according to whom? You? Since when did you become the moral authority on Hollywood, Joy?" "Since I decided to stop letting men like you slide by on charm and reputation alone," she fired back. The audience was now completely silent, sensing that they were witnessing something unprecedented. Even the camera operators seemed transfixed by the unfolding drama. "Men like me?" Nicholson's voice dropped to a dangerous whisper. "You don't know anything about me, lady. You're sitting there making accusations based on tabloid rumors and industry gossip, and you have the audacity to call yourself a journalist?" Joy's face was flushing red now. "I call myself someone who isn't afraid to ask the hard questions, unlike most of the sycophants in this town who kiss up to you because of your status." "Hard questions?" Nicholson laughed, but there was no humor in it. "You haven't asked me a single question about my craft, my process, or anything related to why I'm actually here. All you've done is attack my character based on hearsay." Whoopi made another attempt to regain control. "Guys, let's take a step back here." "No," Joy interrupted sharply. "I'm not done. Jack, you've had a free pass for far too long. Your reputation for being difficult, for treating women poorly, for your overall arrogance, it's all well documented. Nicholson's eyes flashed dangerously. Well documented where? In the National Enquirer? Show me one credible source, one verified incident, one actual victim who's come forward with a legitimate complaint. I don't need to prove anything to you, Joy retorted. The whispers speak for themselves. Whispers? Nicholson's voice was rising now. You're building a case against me based on whispers? What happened to innocent until proven guilty? What happened to journalistic standards? The other hosts were now looking genuinely alarmed. This had gone far beyond a typical heated exchange and was venturing into personal attack territory. Don't lecture me about standards, Joy shot back. Coming from someone who's made a career out of playing psychopaths and bringing that same energy to real life. That was the moment everything changed. Nicholson's composure, which had been hanging by a thread, finally snapped. Nicholson stood up abruptly, his chair scraping against the floor with a harsh screech that echoed through the stunned studio. His face had transformed completely, the charming Hollywood legend replaced by something far more menacing. The audience gasped audibly as he towered over the panel, his voice booming with unprecedented fury. You want to see a psychopath, Joy? He roared, his iconic voice carrying every ounce of the intensity that had made him a legend. You just crossed a line that you can't uncross. How dare you sit there and assassinate my character on national television based on absolutely nothing? Joy, despite being clearly shaken, refused to back down. Sit down, Jack. You're proving my point perfectly right now. Your point? Nicholson's laugh was bitter and dangerous. Your point is character assassination masquerading as journalism. You're a hack, Joy, and everyone in this building knows it, except apparently you. The studio erupted in shocked murmurs. Security guards near the edges of the set tensed, unsure whether to intervene. Whoopi was frantically gesturing to producers off camera, while Sarah and Alyssa sat frozen in their chairs. I'm a hack? Joy's voice cracked slightly, but her defiance remained. At least I'm not a has-been actor clinging to past glory while terrorizing everyone around me. Nicholson slammed his hand down on the table so hard that the coffee mugs jumped. Has-been? Lady, I've forgotten more about acting than you'll ever know about anything. And terrorizing people? The only person terrorizing anyone here is you, ambushing a guest with unsubstantiated garbage. Those aren't unsubstantiated claims, Joy shot back, her voice shrill now. Ask anyone in Hollywood about your temper, your treatment of women, your impossible demands on set. Ask anyone, Nicholson leaned forward menacingly. Or ask the tabloids you apparently get your information from. You know what your problem is, Joy? You've spent so long talking about other people's lives that you've forgotten how to have any integrity of your own. The insult hit its mark. Joy's face went pale, then flushed deep red. How dare you question my integrity? I've been in this business longer than you think, and I've earned my place at this table. Earned your place? Nicholson's voice dripped with contempt. By ambushing guests? By spreading gossip? By turning what should be a professional interview into a kangaroo court? If that's how you earned your place, then your place isn't worth having. Whoopi finally found her voice. Jack, Joy, we need to calm this down right now. But Joy was beyond reason now, her professional facade completely shattered. Don't tell me to calm down, Whoopi. This man has been getting away with his behavior for decades, and somebody needs to call him out. My behavior? Nicholson's voice reached a crescendo that seemed to shake the very walls of the studio. What behavior, Joy? Show me one witness, one police report, one lawsuit, one single shred of evidence to support any of your accusations. You can't, because you don't have any. I don't need evidence, Joy screamed back. I have sources. I have stories. I have decades of whispers and rumors that all point to the same conclusion. Whispers and rumors. Nicholson threw his hands up in exasperation. That's your standard of proof? In what world is that acceptable journalism? You're not a reporter, Joy. You're a gossip monger with a platform, and that makes you dangerous. The audience was completely silent now, witnessing what would undoubtedly become one of the most talked about television moments in years. Camera operators continued filming, knowing they were capturing something historic, even if it was for all the wrong reasons. I'm dangerous? Joy's voice was hitting a pitch that made everyone in the studio wince. You're the one standing there screaming and intimidating everyone. You're proving everything I said about you. I'm proving that I'm human, Nicholson fired back. I'm proving that when someone attacks my character and my reputation based on lies and gossip, I'm going to defend myself. That's not psychopathic behavior, that's normal human behavior. Normal? Joy laughed bitterly. There's nothing normal about your reaction. A normal person would calmly address the concerns. Concerns? Nicholson's voice was incredulous. These aren't concerns, they're accusations. And they're coming from someone who clearly had no intention of conducting a fair interview from the moment I walked in here. Sarah Haynes finally found the courage to speak. Maybe we should take a commercial break. No, Joy snapped, not taking her eyes off Nicholson. We're going to finish this conversation. Jack, the fact that you're reacting this way tells me everything I need to know about who you really are. Nicholson leaned across the table until he was mere inches from Joy's face. You want to know who I really am? I'm someone who's worked his entire life to perfect his craft, who's treated every colleague with respect until proven otherwise, and who doesn't appreciate being ambushed by a two-bit talk show host with delusions of grandeur. Two-bit? Joy was practically shrieking now. I've been on television longer than most people have been alive. I've interviewed presidents, world leaders, A-list celebrities, and apparently learned nothing from any of them about professionalism or basic human decency. Nicholson cut her off. Because a real journalist would have done her research, would have come with specific questions about specific incidents, would have given me a chance to respond before launching into attack mode. I gave you plenty of chances, Joy protested. You could have addressed the concerns honestly, instead of getting defensive. Defensive? Nicholson's laugh was sharp and bitter. Lady, when someone accuses you of decades of misconduct on national television without a single fact to back it up, defensive is the least you should expect. What you got was honest outrage from someone who's tired of being judged by people who don't know the first thing about him. The tension in the studio had reached a breaking point. Producers were frantically trying to decide whether to cut to commercial while security remained on high alert. The other hosts looked like they wanted to disappear completely, caught in the crossfire of an argument that had spiraled completely out of control. But Joy wasn't finished. Her eyes blazed with fury as she prepared to deliver what she clearly thought would be the killing blow. Joy's voice cut through the tension like a blade. You know what, Jack? The truth is that you're a relic from a different era. An era where men like you could get away with anything because of your status. Well, those days are over. Nicholson's face went completely white, then flushed crimson. For a moment, the studio held its collective breath, waiting to see how he would respond to what everyone recognized as the most personal attack yet. A relic? Nicholson's voice was deadly quiet now, more terrifying than when he was shouting. You want to talk about relics, Joy? Let's talk about washed-up talk show hosts who think they're investigative journalists. Let's talk about people who've made careers out of tearing down others because they can't build anything themselves. At least I'm not living in denial about who I am. Joy shot back, her voice trembling with rage. At least I'm not pretending to be America's sweetheart while hiding a history of problematic behavior. America's sweetheart? Nicholson's laugh was sharp and cold. Lady, I've never pretended to be anything other than exactly what I am. I'm an actor who's dedicated his life to his craft, and I've never hidden behind false personas or cheap shots at people's reputations. Whoopi made one final desperate attempt to regain control. This has gone far enough. We need to. No, Whoopi, Nicholson interrupted, his eyes never leaving Joy's face. She wants to play this game. We're going to finish it. You want to know what's problematic, Joy? Problematic is using your platform to spread unverified gossip. Problematic is assassinating someone's character without evidence. Problematic is what you've done here today. Joy stood up now, matching Nicholson's intimidating posture. What's problematic is 50 years of Hollywood protecting men like you while silencing the voices that tried to speak out against your behavior. Voices that tried to speak out? Nicholson's voice rose again. Show me these voices, Joy. Give me names, dates, specific incidents. Put up or shut up, because I'm tired of your insinuations and accusations without substance. I don't owe you anything, Joy screamed. The burden of proof isn't on me. It's on you to prove that you're not the person everyone says you are. The studio erupted. Audience members were gasping, some covering their mouths in shock. The other hosts looked mortified, while crew members stood frozen, unsure whether to intervene or continue filming what was clearly becoming television history. Everyone says, Nicholson's voice boomed across the studio. Who is everyone, Joy? Your gossip sources? Your tabloid contacts? Because I can give you names of directors I've worked with, actors I've supported, crew members I've mentored, people who actually know me and would tell you a very different story. Those people are protecting you because of your power in the industry, Joy fired back. Or maybe, Nicholson said, his voice dripping with disgust, those people are telling the truth, and you're the one who's wrong. Maybe you've been so consumed with playing gotcha journalism that you've forgotten how to distinguish between fact and fiction. Joy's face contorted with fury. Don't lecture me about facts when your entire career has been built on intimidation and manipulation. My career, Nicholson said slowly, deliberately, has been built on talent, dedication, and professionalism. 3 things you clearly know nothing about based on this pathetic display you've put on today. The insult landed like a physical blow. Joy's composure, what little remained of it, completely shattered. How dare you question my professionalism? I've been doing this job since before you were relevant. Before I was relevant? Nicholson's laugh was harsh and mocking. Lady, I've been relevant longer than you've been alive, and I'll still be relevant long after people forget you ever existed. That's enough, Whoopi finally shouted, slamming her own hand on the table. This stops right now. But it was too late. The damage was done, and both Joy and Nicholson were too far gone to pull back now. You want to know what's enough? Joy's voice was hoarse from screaming. What's enough is decades of men like him thinking they can intimidate and silence anyone who dares to question them. Intimidate and silence? Nicholson's voice was incredulous. You're the one who came out swinging from the moment I sat down. You're the one who turned what should have been a professional interview into a personal attack. And now you want to play the victim? I'm not playing anything, Joy shot back. I'm exposing the truth about who you really are underneath all the Hollywood gloss. The truth? Nicholson leaned forward one final time. The truth is that you're a bitter, washed-up hack who's so desperate for relevance that you'll destroy anyone's reputation to get attention. The truth is that you've embarrassed yourself, your co-hosts, your network, and your profession here today. Joy's mouth opened and closed several times, but no words came out. For the first time since the argument began, she seemed genuinely speechless. Nicholson straightened his jacket and looked directly into the camera. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what passes for journalism these days. Character assassination based on gossip and rumor, delivered by someone who's clearly more interested in creating controversy than seeking truth. He turned back to Joy, his voice now calm but filled with contempt. You should be ashamed of yourself, Joy. You had an opportunity to conduct a professional interview with someone who's dedicated his life to entertaining people, and instead you chose to turn it into a witch hunt. That says everything about who you are and nothing about who I am. With that, Nicholson removed his microphone, placed it carefully on the table, and walked off the set without another word. The studio remained in stunned silence as his footsteps echoed through the space. Joy sat back down heavily, her face pale and her hands shaking. The other hosts looked at each other with expressions of shock and dismay, while the audience remained frozen, unsure how to react to what they had just witnessed. Whoopi finally broke the silence. We'll be right back after this commercial break. As the camera stopped rolling, the full weight of what had just happened began to sink in. Joy Behar had attempted to take down one of Hollywood's biggest legends and had instead destroyed her own credibility in the process. The confrontation that was supposed to expose Jack Nicholson had instead revealed the ugly truth about ambush journalism and the dangers of accusations without evidence. The explosive encounter would be talked about for years to come, but not in the way Joy had intended. Instead of being remembered as the journalist who held Jack Nicholson accountable, she would be remembered as the host who let her personal agenda destroy her professionalism and credibility in front of millions of viewers. The King of Hollywood had walked away victorious, while his accuser was left to face the consequences of her own actions. And that's the incredible story of the day Jack Nicholson erupted on The View. What do you think? Was Joy Behar out of line with her approach, or was she justified in pressing Nicholson on these issues? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more shocking celebrity moments that you won't see anywhere else.